Hello, my name is Christine and I run a vintage shop called Prima Treasures on Etsy. Today I wanted to talk about antique bookends. The reason I want to talk about them is because over the past year, home office decor has become more important to many of us, and this is a great opportunity for things like antique bookends to find their way back into our lives. I think they're interesting because they have a lot of variety to them. Apparently back in the day, people were really into their bookends, so companies went to what I consider a lot of trouble to make a pretty good selection of different themes, different styles, this type of thing, lots of detail, which I think is pretty cool. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, any bookend that was made before World War II would be considered antique. Pretty often what you're going to find in terms of antique bookends is, I think you can see here on the table, I've got several different styles, I guess what I would call styles anyway. The first one, and probably the most fancy, would be considered this one right here, where you've got a cut stone base and then you've got a sculptured figure attached to it. These are a little harder to find most of the time. And then I would say right next to that, you see two of these, what I think are probably the more basic varieties, which is, a bookend shape with cast metal, and then a design kind of stamped onto it, or probably not stamped, but I'm not sure what method they use. Either way, it's mostly flat, and you've got a little bit of sort of raised design showing the image that they wanted to put onto the item. And then over there on the far left, we have what's probably the middle of the road, which is a bookend that's shaped like a figure out of cast metal, but it doesn't have the added bonus of the stone base that this one over here on the right has. So this is kind of, I would expect to pay a little bit more for the ones on the right or on the left side. And I would expect to pay a little bit less for this type in the middle that's mostly bookend shaped and just has little figures on it. And then probably the highest prices would be for these ones with the stone base. So this is a variety of makers. Sometimes they're marked, sometimes they're not. Typically I have to fall back on my collector's book that I picked up to help me figure out how old they are and who made what. Sometimes even in the book they didn't know who made what because of the lack of maker's mark on the item. But usually what you see in these middle ones is it's cast metal of some kind, often iron, sometimes bronze, but they'll put a finish on it, and it can be kind of difficult to tell whether you're dealing with cast iron or not because of you can see this one here has a copper finish. That one back there has kind of a bronzy copper finish. So that can sort of disguise the metal you're dealing with, but I don't think it's a huge issue. And then obviously on the far right, I think the pirate is probably cast iron. The girl reading, I'm guessing, is more of a bronze or some sort of ally because she does not have the feel of cast iron. But that's something you'd only know if you saw it in a thrift store and tried to pick it up. Which, point of fact, I have actually found these in thrift stores. It's not common, but you can find them there. Most of these I picked up at estate sales. So the one thing I wanted to show specifically is with the bookends, to kind of give you an idea of what to look for to know, is the bookend antique? So one of the telltales for me, and I can show it here, is look at that really old felt. I mean, that looks super aged. And then you can see on this one as well, it's green and it looks kind of like modern felt, except when you look at it close, it really doesn't have the sort of cheap polyester quality in it. I mean, that is clearly quite aged. So one of the telltales for me is there felt on the bottom, and does it look like visibly old? Another thing to look for again would be the cast metal manufacturing of it. So many of the items that we make today are made out of plastic or made using cheaper manufacturing methods. Every one of these bookends, when you pick it up, it feels heavy. I mean, they obviously took their bookend functionality quite seriously. These are all very heavy cast metal items that are going to feel weighty in your hand. And then, you know, another thing that I would definitely look for is just general wear and age. Every one of these items has, you know, a lot of aged look to the metal. You can see that it's pretty worn. The finish is, you know, quite faded on most of them. So anything that you look at it and you instantly feel, that looks old. I mean, I think that's a pretty good first hint when you're in a thrift store or you're at an estate sale and something jumps out at you like that. You know, that's instinct. Take it seriously. Pick it up. See if it weighs a lot. Look at the bottom. See if it has the very faded, tattered felt on the bottom. As I said before, most of these are not marked, but a few of them, okay, I know that guy's not marked. And this one actually, you can see it's got stuff written here in what I'm guessing is Latin on the back. It just says Lion of Lucerne, which is the design. But you can use stuff like that to search Google to figure out, you know, because other people will post things on Google and that will help kind of point you to what this is. So I believe she has a mark. Yes, she does. And you can see right here the name Rule. And then there's a little triangle mark here. So you can definitely look for stuff like that on Google, find out who made that item, what company, and that will help you identify the age. And then I think the pirate, no, he does not. Oh, well, I was hoping he did. So really the only marked one is this one. And as I recall, it also has a sticker that shows it was made by the Armor Bronze Company of New York City. So that's pretty cool when you actually find one that has the original sticker on it, because obviously that's not something that happens a lot. And now I'm positioning these all wrong. Sorry about that. But anyway, the thing that I think is cool about these bookends is that they have so much more detail and personality than stuff we would see today. And as I said earlier, there's a lot of themes. If you like kids, there's plenty of them with little boys, little girls with their pets, this type of thing. And then there's also plenty that have animals like this lion. I love the sassy pirate over here. And they also do ones of knights and things along those lines. Pretty much anything you're interested in, they're probably going to have bookends that match it. So if you want something a little unusual and distinctive in your home office, these antique bookends are a great way to go.